Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Gaming to the Max and part 3 of our Hearts of Iron 4 Kaiserreich, the German Empire. So, in the last episode, we are continuing trying to beat our Black Monday card game, as well as vote no confidence on the cabinet Schleichler with the coalition of the Black, White, and Red taking power. They only need roughly 41 seats to win the no confidence vote, and we are also fighting against the massive socialist protest and I'm trying to think of what this is called. Anyway, the Ruhr Kampf as what it is called right now, but it's a strike. That's it. Looking to end the Ruhr Kampf strikes. So we got that going on, and we are still fighting over here in Asia with the Nanjing clique, trying to defeat the Minggang insurgency and keep German dominance over here in Asia, or in China especially. So we don't have much to do or much to go left fighting in the war over here, but we do still have parts to do. So trying to beat these militia units out. Moving my heavy tanks back over. Those are hills, which aren't really great for my tanks, but let's do excavation. We've got 2 more days left on this German American, and then we got a couple other things that we're going to do. Should break that unit there. Might be able to actually march right into their capital here. Take you and go over here to these ports. There's the German-American Association. So whatever size we choose in the American Civil War, we can raise 3 divisions for. We will probably go with Huey Long's America if he pops. I didn't see who was elected because they haven't had their election yet. But when they have their election, if Huey Long pops, that's who we'll be going with. It's Huey Long. He has the highest chance of joining the Kaiser Pact. The KAPD calls for an armed struggle in the Ruhr. The beginning of the general strike in the Ruhr has emboldened the far-left organizations across Germany. On the other hand, they have welcomed the beginning of the strike with reservation. In the view of the syndicalists and the radical socialists of the KAPD, KPD, and other far-left parties, the last thing these mass movements should become is a mere battle for workers' rights. This is a hopeless concessionism to the bourgeois upper class, which will merely make the revolution more distant, farther than make it draw near. Newspapers such as the Kommunistische Arbeiterzeitung and the Die Rotfahne have begun calling for the Rhenish workers to establish dual rule in the Ruhr, replacing the state's organs with worker councils which can manage the day-to-day affairs, provide leadership to the workers, and eventually replace the state entirely. The Marxist philosopher and one of the leading figures of the Berlin tendency of the KAPD, Karl Korsch, called for the formation of the proletarian hundreds to defend the brewing workers rising from attempts at suppression. The Probitsch Gimpolizi has curtailed the distribution of these revolutionary materials and begun investigating both the KPD and KAPD for their state-threatening activities. Syndicalism will not happen here. So let's do that escalation in the Ruhr. Let's go back up top. For our card game for this month, we got a labor crisis, so we can do the employment program. Let us change the issue. Stability's fine. That's 1,000, 1,000. I think actually all 3 of these only adds. Oh no, we still do need more in the investment, but I think that's gonna lose us this card game actually. So we did not go above the stagnation. It doesn't drop us from 7 to anything else. It just stagnates at 7, and it keeps our prices up. So let's see. In 2 days, we should be successful in taking the Zentrium Center and the Gif Party, hopefully. 1 day. The Rhenish and Westphalen Sympathy strikes. The spark lit in the Ruhr has now reached the rest of the densely populated and industrialized Rhenish-Westphalia region. One after another, worker groups in the factories and local trade unions proclaim their allegiance with a general strike, and their members spill into the streets, demanding government intervention in the economy, further expansion of workers' rights, justice for the matriarchs of Berlin, Blutame, and punishment for the businessmen and their illegal lockouts in the Ruhr. An article by the mayor of Köln, Konrad Adenauer, has reached the Frankfurter Zeitung in the aftermath, describing that the economic life in the city as well as much of the regions has effectively stopped thanks to the strikes, and announced the strikers in the article, demanding them to stand down as their ranks are infiltrated and hijacked by socialist agents. How will we fix the economy now? The Western Rhinelands, the Palatinate, and the Westphalia have all gained Ruhrkampf, which is the same as the other, or as the same as it was before. So now it's here, 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 and I think here. No, it's here, here, not there. Anyway, our construction's up in the north anyway, so it's not affecting, or in lower Germany, so it's not actually affecting where we're building right now. One more day. So the Argentinian trade deal, as one of the largest import partners, the struggling Republic of Argentina has reached out to our trade ministry, begging us to make an exception on the imposed tariffs we impose on non-Middle European nations. Since their economy is virtually entirely dependent on us, we could put a squeeze on them and try to force them into signing a less favorable agreement. Should they, however, take this opportunity to shift their interests to the Entente, it would cut us off from their vital agricultural exports, which could give our rivals in the Entente an advantage in the America. We need their loyalty, which gives us -6 consumer good factories. Yeah, we'll take that. The center and the... Alright, so the center did join us. So now we need to block the left. The LVP left. They're both going after the minor parties. If the black, white, and red coalition do get the LVP right, that would put them over what they need, I believe. Yeah. So all they need is the LVP right. When we're done with escalating the Ruhrkampf suppression, we can actually do prod the Zentrum to enforce party discipline, because now the coalition, it would force the other ones. If we don't get it, if we do get it, then that's the end of it. So let's come back over here. We did take their capital. Their one capital. Now their capital's in Guangzhou. They're at 70% towards capitulation. So. Saboteurs and agitators in the Ruhr. When there's smoke, there's fire, and when there's strikes, the syndicalist sabotage. The Governmental reports that a large number of provocateurs have appeared in the Ruhr region in the days after the beginning of the general strike in the region. They are well supplied and funded and are agitating for our workers to stand firm against both the resisting businesses and the reactionary government. Some appear on the secret police list of suspected syndicalist activists. Their contacts with the Third International, the KAPD, and the KPD, or even the radical Bund der Kommerstein are known. As much as we and the press might denounce these agitators as traitors in our midst, there is no denying they are effective. Already numerous protest actions, sometimes even violent ones, have been noticed springing up throughout the Ruhr. This is very suspicious. Gainwell tension increased by 2. So we held the most. We don't need stability. It wouldn't be nice to get price monitoring, but we'll hold off. This will knock that down to lower. Protests in Ukraine. Just as our domestic problems continue to rise, so do they for our most important ally in the East. Hetman Pavlo Skorpodesky, who we backed in early 1918 as our key ally in Ukraine, has been facing increasingly bitter criticism from the exiled Republican opposition, who have been demanding the political and economic reforms. Worryingly, the situation to be spiraling out of the hetman's control. It's true that we have little to spare for a Ukrainian ally, but some say that this is a matter of national security. Should we fail to provide some form of assistance, the hetman rule may not be for much longer. Sure, he gets everything that he needs. Negative 40 political power. Supporting the hetman may be a costly endeavor for now, but by guaranteeing Skopodinski's remain in power, we may reap the benefits in the long term. So yeah, ensure that he has everything he needs. I could actually probably end this fight, but what I'm going to do is move to the northern sector with all my forces and try to kill off these French and Italian units. Creation of the International Avant-Garde. Let their units fight there. Social Democratic Unions support the Ruhr strike. In spite of their traditional hesitation towards the union action of political gains, the General German Trade Union Federation, or the ADGB, one of the largest trade union organizations in the empire and an affiliate of the SPD, was closely monitored by the press and the public ever since the beginning of the Ruhr strikes. As the SPD was seen as an opponent of Schleichler, their trade union joined force with the socialist strikers may be exactly what they need to take down the despised Reichschancellor. The Federation's news outlet, Der Arbeit, answered the question. Trade unions within the Federation were called to join the strikes, though with reservations. Their fight should not be for the right, or their fight should be for the rights of workers and for practical reforms to relations between capital and labor, and not foolish attempts at the revolutionary overthrow. Hundreds of thousands of workers across Germany have thus joined the Ruhr strike, further paralyzing industry. The effect of the Ruhr Kampf on striking states will be increased. They're at 25. They're at 35 of the 100. We'll escalate this. And we should see, hopefully, in 18 days, the coalition win. Sadly, we lost the card game this time. Happens to the best of us. Strike of the Luxembourg Mining and Metal Workers Union. The winds of the Ruhr General Strike have reached the small yet industrialized Grand Duchy of Luxembourg, one of the most recent additions to the German Empire. Here, Nicholas Beaver, the chairman of the Luxembourg Mining and Metal Workers Union, one of the largest trade union confederations in the Grand Duchies, has pledged himself to the strike, pushing thousands of workers across Luxembourg to do as well. The famous Luxembourg steel industry is frozen almost entirely in the aftermath, and conglomerates such as ARBED now are desperately seek workers to fill critical positions in their plants. This news was not taken well in the chambers of deputies of the small duchy, where the Luxembourg Party of the Right, an affiliate of the Zentrum, has announced the strikes of an act of treason against the Grand Duchy itself. Prime Minister Joseph Beck have warned the syndicalist infiltration from the France will be met with harsh countermeasures. How long can this last? Luxembourg and Viviers removes Ruhrkampf and Luxembourg gains it. So blood on the Rhine. The general strike underway in the Rhineland has claimed its first victims. The police in Essen report that 2 bodies have been found in the Rhine at the night, both riddled with severed bullet holes. Both of them were identified as activists and organizers in the Metalworks Union, and a quick investigation by the law enforcement has deduced a trail to far-right activists in the Rhineland. War veterans and extremist groups associated with Volksschutz, far-right nationalists, Seven Kovists, and National Socialist movements have occasionally cropped up in the news ever since Volkskrieg, participating in street clashes and political campaigns in favor of the fringe far-right parties. Though worrying, they were greatly overlooked by post-war governments as a non-threat. It appears several of them, in essence, seeking to take matters in their own hand and prevent a pseudo-syndicalist takeover of the Reich, assassinated their socialist opponents in the night. The news of the deaths has sparked furor among the workers, and the numerous members of the Reichstag demand the government to show solidarity with the victims' families. This would paint us as a week on the strike, however. If we reimburse the families, we gain -10 stability and -75 political power. The intensity of the Ruhr is reduced. What's it at right now? 35. They shouldn't have been syndicalist. It's raised by 25, but we gain the same negative stability crisis. Let's try to keep it down. That would bring it down to 20. Or maybe they shouldn't have been syndicalist. I think we chose that one the last time. 3 more days on that. We'll show solidarity. This would paint us as weak on the strike, however. Yeah. More days on that. How many more days on this? 11. Oh, we'll crank this up to 4 speed. We escalated the suppression. Let's do negotiate debt restructuring. Verbunden coup d'etat in Siam. It seen its popularity plummet, taking advantage of the controversial yellow-covered dossier, the nickname for a proposed plan to overhaul the nation's economic system, nationalize many of the industries. A Red Scare was whipped up. And chief of the army, Lung, intervened just in time and declared martial law. Oh, I got you. So instead of his reforms, we're probably going to get his coup, I guess. I don't know. Revolutionaries take Mongolia. So the mad barons rules over. Now you got Magnus von Litzval criticized government's passivity. The government's decision to reimburse the families of the victims of violence in Ruhr was met with open, loud resistance in the Reichstag chambers. Conservative and nationalists whipped up a frenzy, declaring that this was no more than a cowtail against nationalist traitors. The most aggressive voice in the opposition is Magnus von Litzval, a notable member of the Fatherland Party, one of the heroes of the Battle of Jutland, and a close ally of Alfred von Trippitz. He is infamous across political spectrums for his hardline stance against syndicalism and far-left views. On the parliamentary floor, Wetzlitz appealed to his and many of the members of the government common military background, and declared that for us soldiers it's important to stand in a united front in association with the security police, the residents' armed forces, and the technical emergency aid, and to fight the battle announced by the communists with all sacrifices for the good of the fatherland. He's not the only one, and should the Reich Chancellor not heed their demand, the far right and the Reichstag promised to escalate their resistance against his appeasement. Show the force to appease the right or ignore the extremists from both sides. Let's do that because I think that makes him even more unpopular. And we should gain the LVP right. The fall of the Bataki cabinet. The government of Adolf in Prussia was short-lived. The DVLP and the LVP have both fully severed their membership in the House of Representative Coalition, and liberals could no longer find an accord with the nationalists and conservatives, while the DVLP demanded to earn additional ministries to account for their size in legislature, but were rebuffed. Briefly, Bataki considered negotiations with the significant social democratic faction in the assembly, but these talks broke down as well, as the SPD demanded no less than subjugation. Advised by the Circle and by the House of Lords of Prussia, William II announced the dissolution of the Prussian House of Representatives. The King of Prussia's short note on the decision sent from the Königlich Schloss in Berlin say that as the composition of the current House cannot come to an agreement and back a lasting government, the King has found it fitting to return their mandate back to the people and win a new legislator. Snap elections will be held in a month, and though the plural election system of Prussia means that all sides expect only minor adjustments, a Prussian electoral campaign has begun. This results will bring much of the same, gain base stability -5%. 1936, Prussian snap elections. The snap elections of Prussia have finally arrived and have witnessed considerable gains for the Black, White, and Red coalition thanks to active campaigning and mobilization by the agrarian members of East Elvia. Though they did not earn a majority, they collected allies in Centrum and the minor liberal parties such as the Verschaper Party and the National Liberals, and much more importantly have swayed the Kaiser to their side. Wilhelm II, as King of Prussia, chose to appoint the coalition's preferred candidate, Edward von Kleist-Schizemannsen, as Minister-President of Prussia. In his first speech before the Prussian House of Representatives, Minister-President Kleist announced 2 axes of his cabinet political program: reform in the Prussian countryside, which will relieve the struggling agricultural sector and lay the path forward economic recovery, and second, asserting Prussian position in the empire. Observers, including the Reich Chancellor, are certain that this will amount to open resistance to the central government, support of the right-wingers in the Reichstag, and a dangerous federal Prussian dualism in the empire. Perhaps something should have been done to prevent this. This is terrible. Appointed advisor Edward von Kleist-Schizemannsen with the effect: -15 recruitable population, -30 stability, and recovery division rate -5%. National focuses on controlling Prussia are disabled, and the national focus formatted DVL split is disabled. Well, this did not happen the last time, so we shall see. Come back over here. Beautiful. Exactly what we wanted to do. Defeat that French unit there and that Italian unit as well. Not that it does really anything for us, but I just like to, flex some muscles and be like, yeah, we done that. There was a military coup in Japan. Now they are paternal autocrats. Appears that Japanese democracy is dead after a few years of fighting scandals and corruption among political parties. Radical restorationist officers launched a coup. 1936 Dublin Olympics. Once again, the French and British sailors have been absent. The singless powers unrecognized by the International Olympic Committee and exiled governments lacking men to send. German and American athletes have seen the most success, closely tied with 27 and 26 medals, while Irish athletes have performed above average, winning 9. We did our best. Fighting an Italian general there. But they have no supplies, so. A visit to the Ruhr. A staff of the Reich Chancellor is drafted from President for Schleicher an official visit to the Ruhr to alleviate some of the tensions personally. This will involve several speeches to the trade union representatives in the region, and a final public one in Essen, where the Reich Chancellor is to promise labor laws reform and state protection for strikers who peacefully return to work. This will strengthen Schleicher's reputation as a Red General and pave the way towards a peaceful resolution of the general strike. Of course, this proposal comes with its own risks. There's no telling the impressions the Reich Chancellor will make towards an agitated, frustrated proletarian public. Will they be impressed by his promise, or will be more emboldened to resist? Finally, while the risk is low, the presence of armed radicals amongst the Ruhr strikers mean that there's possibly some may take matters into their own hands. Get a good impression, or he is assassinated, or it's too risky. Oh, we can try. You got a 60% chance, which is pretty high for me. He's about to be sacked as Reich Chancellor anyway. We'll block the LVP left. All you all need to do is to get the LVP right, or the minority block. I guess he wasn't assassinated. And the Ming Gang insurgency has capitulated. I hope we defeated that unit beforehand, but I was not watching. Sweet. That helps us out, because now they can resume the Sino-German cooperation. Sudetenland. After the Franco-German War of 1870 and 1871, the Sudetenland was established to celebrate our victory at Sedan, where we captured the last French Emperor, Napoleon III, and the cream of their army. Originally a holiday to honor the Prussian military, the Sudetenland transferred into a celebration of the Reich's foundation, and after the Weltkrieg, the humbling of its foes. Every town and every village, from Aachen to Memel, every street is decorated in black, white, and red. Every bell proudly proclaims the day of celebration. Nobles, soldiers, and innumerable veteran parades proudly throughout the streets, cheer up the happy masses. Indeed, this is a good day, a day that reminds us of the peace and prosperity we have enjoyed since the forging of the Reich. Held them Kaiserreich, and we gained +5 political power. And let's see. We're at 35. Minor defeat still. There's nothing we can do for the game. Let's see. Alright, so we're still at 7 there. We're in a liquidity crisis, so let's do money issuing and probably draw 2 cards. We will change the crisis. Inflation, so capital control. And we need more. We'll have to do that, then we'll have to take more cards. There's debt and renegotiating. Let's do remove 6% of the debt score. We're so close for the coalition to take over. The Ruhr visits met by protest. The Reich Chancellor visit Ruhr was not left a good impression upon the population. As Schleicher in his cabinet note, the situation in Ruhr has grown increasingly radicalized, and every speech made in the Rhenish cities was met with protests and a demand to resign. Due to his growing security concerns, the visit had been cut short, meaning the trade union leaders had been canceled and the Reich Chancellor swiftly returned to Berlin. The events were not received well across the rest of the empire. Business leaders and members of the Reichstag took this as a sign of weakness and a lack of support from Schleicher's government, an impression that needs to be handled somehow. We'll be able to flag one last faction and increase the Ruhrkampf and the intensity of the uprisings raised by 15. All right, 50 now, so let's do establish curfews. Hurts our political power gain, but we're already pretty low on that. Our volunteer forces have returned. And they've done incredibly well, in my opinion. Let us begin training. We really have not... Are we that low on infantry equipment? Ooh, that's bad. I didn't know we were that low on infantry equipment. But we only make 5 a day, so yeah, I'd say so. The uprising in Ukraine. With the Black Monday economic crisis rippling through the world, disorder had been rife in the Ostaaten. The situation has been particularly harsh in the Ukrainian state, with the country's agrarian economy buckling under its own weight. With the country already in a tinderbox, it has now erupted in a civil war with our one-time ally, Simon Petrulia, and his Republican coalition leading an insurgency in the West. The Ukrainian ambassador in Berlin has assured us that the situation is under control, and this will not compromise the position of the Ostwahl or the Ukrainian political situation. Regardless, there is little we can do to actually intervene. This seems serious. Come on, Pavlo. Got 2 more cards. We can do this reform card and then that. Man, that brings our debt so high. If it reaches 200, we'll enter a debt default. So let's just do this and try to knock our debt down with this. It knocks it down by 6%. Gives us another round. We learned this. Belgium leaves Middle Europa. Belgium has severed the last of its ties with Middle Europa today. The government has chosen to leave our sphere of influence, citing the exploitative nature of the customs union. Belgium declares independence, and German and Peking seduced by Oriental beauty. Tabloids across the nation are abuzz with a story from Beijing. Hans Schroeder, a young diplomat attaché in the Peking consulate, was apprehended by police after they raided an illegal brothel that also traded in drugs. Furthermore, it appears that the chief of police decided to let Schroeder off without as much as a warning, probably fearing political controversy. The city is currently gridlocked by anti-German riots, and many SPD members are questioning the continued value of our involvement in China. Otto Wels, a senior SPD leader, delivered a scathing speech in the Reichstag response to the scandal. While the party's position was the intervention in China was pointless, it is now clear that the intervention actually harms the Chinese people. Our continued military presence undermines Chinese rule of law and their attempts to build a stable, functioning country we can partner with against Japan. Political power, -5. Damn. Whoops. Not really what we wanted to see. Share our burden. So you got Shabal Shamar, against Najd and Hassa. Sympathy strikes in Silesia. While sometimes during they assess the situation and witness the establishment of a right-wing government in Prussia, the Polish workers in the industrial Upper Silesia region had joined the ongoing strikes. The motion to pledge themselves to the goals of the Ruhr workers was taken as a collaboration between the two major Polish labor unions in the German Empire, the Polish Professional Association of a Christian and national character, which generally focuses on the Poles in the Ruhr, and the Central Trade Union of Poland, that is closer with the Socialists and the SPD. Dozens of thousands of workers in the coal mine and steel mills of the Upper Silesia have emptied their workplaces, and their peers in the Ruhr have joined the German comrades. The decision by the Polish trade unions has inflamed the generally tepid relations between the Germanists and Poles in the ethnically mixed-up Silesian region. The German workers have generally refused to associate with the strike, and these moves made them even less likely to join the forces. They have been criticized by the chairman of the ZZP, Joseph Reimer, and the press organs of the union, describing this as a use of ethnic tensions and as a tool by developing the Prussian dictatorship to divide workers in their struggle for rights. They will perish like the rest, and Upper Silesia adds Ruhrkampf. Let's see. The coalition holds enough seats to vote of no confidence. Is what we've been hoping for. Let's get sonars researched as our escort designer. Let's get better depth charges for our Navy. And for you, towed anti-air and towed anti-tank better. Let me see. You guys here. Abdulaziz Saad, the immortal rival of many dead men, now turns his sights. If I help you, New Arabian Army, build new universities. Do you... I don't think they would join us. But you all don't either. There's Ottoman lapdogs. I've never seen Najd and Hassa ever win. High moral truce, war of unification, Arabian horsemen, illiterate populace. They got Ottoman lapdogs. You know what? You're authoritarian democracy. You're paternal autocrats. You know, we agree more with you all. I think we actually might send... Oh, we can only send 3. That's fine. We just won't send our mountain units down there. We'll send this other motorized unit. I've never actually supported these guys before, so I've always just had Jabal Shamar always won, so let's see, my Air Force, we'll move you all back. Move you just right there to Berlin. The Belgian Revolution, while we were busy solving our own problems, Aldebert, King of Flanders Wallonia, has been deposed and sent packing by his people. Even though this is an outrageous event, we have to handle the situation carefully, as the war will hinder our recovery and may provoke senseless aggression. Delegates of the new Belgian state, however, have come up with a proposal of their own. They request we sign a treaty guaranteeing their newfound sovereignty and rebalancing our one-sided economic system. In exchange, they would join the Reichspakt, extend their army, and to be our front line of defense against syndical threats. German holding companies will remain in charge of large parts of the industry and special programs. We can go back to war with them. I wonder if we go to war with them, will the French join the war? I don't really like them overthrowing our government. We lose 100 political power, though. Man, that we really can't And they're going to be a part of us anyway. This won't be a puppet. Alright, try to negotiate with them. See what we can do. They refuse. Our warhawks demanded the Kaiserreich set things right and move in to crush the upstarts. The Pew's cooler heads prevailed. The cabinet opted to bid its time and deal with the problem at a later date. I thought that was what they... What? What? Well, that was dumb. I hope Belgium gets swallowed up now. Should have declared war on them. Yep, they start the vote of no confidence in 19 days. Luxembourg Party of the Right proposes Malkurfrigetse. The strikes in Luxembourg, which have already been very vulnerable to the syndicalist agitation and mobilizations, have made rounds in the small states. Chamber of Deputies, located near France on the frontier before the syndicals blocked, and highly industrialized with powerful unions and local socialist organizations, have been highly anxious to the possible socialist revolt since 1920. Prime Minister Joseph Beck, representing the Luxembourg Party of the Right, has proposed a law to curtail the growth of socialism in Luxembourg, the law for defense of the social and political order. Opponents' law, however, taken calling it the muzzle law or the Malkurfrigetse, it would give the government the power to dissolve any other organization believed to be threatening the Constitution. As a result, it had been highly criticized by socialists and the Luxembourg SPD, who claimed that Beck intends to use the law to ban all opposition to his government and orchestrate the creation of an authoritarian regime, with the Ruhr as a mere excuse. The warring growth of authoritarian elements within the Party of the Right, influenced by the authoritarian anti-socialist turn in the rest of Germany, certainly gives these claims precedence. Let us watch and see how this develops. We might not even need to come over here and help them. They seem to be winning as it already is. Jean Click enters a war. See all battleships. Let's do light attack. We probably have really no reason to be in this war, but Germany don't care. I'd hate to lose our ally in the Ottomans, but if we do, we do. If we don't, we don't. The Republicans win the Serbian elections. Push these camel units out. The DKAEB stays afloat. This is a rare spot of good news. In the terrible years of 1936, the DKAEB Railroad in East Africa has reported profits in the third quarter. It seems the Ethiopians and Middle African government have cooperated to keep the trading link open. Our relationship with Ethiopia seems to be secure and deepens the alliance eventually. Plus 15 political power. Yay! Joseph Beck calls referendum on Malkurfrigetse, the muzzle law. The Chamber of Deputies of Luxembourg passed the infamous muzzle law with a majority vote. However, this was not the end of the story. Enormous protests took to the streets in the small western state, demanding Beck's resignation and the revocation of the anti-democratic muzzle law. Criticism at the national level was equally fierce. Numerous parties, including the SPD, LVP, and even progressive elements of the Zentrium, lodged their criticism, especially as neither the Luxembourg government nor the major steel producers have even considered negotiation with the strikers. Frustrated with the opposition, Beck chose to put an end to the rhetoric once and for all by announcing a referendum on the muzzle law, believing that he represented the silent majority outside the main working class towns. He expected to win the referendum with large margin and legitimize his authoritarian move. We will see the results in 3 months. Gain 5% stability gain and change the popularity of social conservative -1. Costa Rica requests a German garrison. Rising instability in the U.S. and the nearby regions in Central America have forced the small nation to come for us to aid, reminding us of the strong ties between our two nations and the significant German population living in the territory. They asked that we station a small regiment in San Jose to deter foreign threats. While this is a short-term implication of our relations with the U.S., we are sure that they will understand that we are acting for the greater good. Yeah, we'll send a detachment over here. That guarantees them, I believe. Romania joins the Belgrade Pact. Greece also does. There's our state monopoly done. Let's remove more debt score. Foundation of the Belgrade Pact. And the guard. And we are against him. Weakening Schleicher's bloc over months, the Reichstag has divided itself into internal hostile camps and one that is aligned with the Reichschancellor. Schleicher is rapidly dwindling. More and more factions in the legislature have declared their loyalty to the SPD or the conservative no confidence vote to the point where only the Reichschancellor and Guy had ability to pull off both sides to allow him to remain in power. This ploy cannot last forever, however. Schleicher's ability to call upon his contacts is dwindling, and parties will see him as the best solution for Germany or reconsidering the choice. It may not be too long for them to help in the train and secure government ministry in the next government after all. We must act strategically with our dwindling resources. And Sichler is removed with the vote of no confidence. The appointment of Kurt von Schleicher was a slap in the face of the Reichstag, who had been fostering a process of parliamentization in the German Empire for the past few decades, and yet suddenly saw their informal role in forming governments be challenged. As such, no matter if they were on the left or the right, the Reichstag began to plot, seeking to overthrow the Reichschancellor with the power of no confidence vote granted the Reichstag in the constitutional forms of 1920. The DKP and the DVLP, joining forces in the Black, White, and Red Alliance, ultimately took the lead, forming a majority in the legislature and initiating a no-confidence vote, citing that the Reichschancellor could no longer manage the government under these conditions and must step down. Though Schleicher fought for the best of his ability, he was unable to overcome the conservative resistance, and he was forced out after a majority vote. His role in history will thus be that of a mere interim period, an independent who led Germany for a few brief months before handing the reins over to the government of Ewald von Kleist-Siemens, an independent appointed to mediate between the two powerful coalition partners. For the first time in decades, a true conservative government leads Germany again. Years of parliamentation, liberalism, and reform could not hold back the reaction of the German conservatives, and they returned with a vengeance. What will become of the Golden Constitution? We appoint Edward von Kleist-Siemens, who gives us recruitable population +6, consumer goods factory 6, plus 5% war support. Authoritarian Democrats and the National Populists will join the coalition, and we get the conservative revolution. Decades ago, Sammlungspolitik, bringing certain factions together by establishing a strong front against emerging political left and for imperialist interests, had been an important tool for the state and the Kaiser as a bulwark, but times have changed, and ever since the Kaiser himself turned unreliable and more weak puppet of internationalist parliamentarians, he and the government became a new target of the very same policy they once pursued. Sammlungspolitik against the state. What didn't work out under Alfred von Trippitz in the 1910s and under Wolfgang Kapp and George Wilhelm Scheichel in the 1920s has now finally become a reality under the able leadership of the party chairman Ulrich von Hassel during one of Germany's darkest hours. The time of the aimless martyrdom and Schleicher's pseudo-leftist experiments are over. Now a truly national front has brought down the rotten power of structure of old. Hopefully once and for all, the conservative revolution is imminent. While the Black, White, and Red Alliance is a diverse collection of all kinds of right-leaning groups, ranging from harmless middle-class populists and the moderate conservatives to the far-right industrialists and Volksist, the Nationalist Revolutionary German Fatherland Party, and the predominantly agrarian aristocratic German Conservative Party maintains the upper hand. Select key ministries of the future government will be split between them, but the nominal leadership of the coalition, the imperial chancellorship, will go to a nonpartisan compromise candidate who enjoys respect among particularly the entire German right. The famous Ewald von Kleist-Siemens, a longtime conservative Prussian civil servant official and one of the sharpest critics of Schleicher, is expected that Kleist's conciliatory leading role will obviate factionalism within the rightist front. Gain base stability plus 20%. We retire Siegfried von Roteren, and we get Ulrich von Hassel as a political advisor, and we have the social conservatives join the coalition. So the Black, White, and Red government in Germany. Good. We can finally reduce what's left of what's happening over here in Ruhr. Cannot believe Belgium overthrew us and then spit in our face with that treaty. Oh, I thought we took the capital. I was like, yay. No. There you go. You now have Jod and Hassa as the leaders over here. Egypt had also. Costa Rica requests our assistance. Disaster has the otherwise quiet little nation of Costa Rica within the ZKG crashed hard on the Berlin Stock Exchange after a few weeks earlier, dragging the nation to a hole which it will be unable to recover on its own. To save them from collapse, the small nation has requested us a loan to bail out the ZKG. Yeah, we'll give them the... We'll offer that up. Your social conservatives. You requested our support. The stance of the Zentrum, now that the Black, White, and Red Front is in power, the Zentrum Party has an important key role to play. While the Catholics will not directly join the coalition in order to preserve party unity, their party stance to the new government will decide how easy it will be for the rightists to efficiently govern the country. A more left-leaning Zentrum could severely hamper their ambitious visions, while a more right-leaning Zentrum is much more likely to tolerate them, thereby handing them out at carte blanche as long as Catholics and federal interests aren't harmed. The moderate compromise leadership presiding over the Zentrum since the last party conference is somewhat distanced from some of the more radical representatives, but its principle does not have too many objections to our broad program, tapped by many right-wingers and moderates who will be hopefully outbalance the harmful influence of Steigerwald's Christian trade unions within the board. The party chairs should hopefully keep their mouths shut as long as we keep the basic democratic feudal framework intact, and they might even be swayed with certain corporate concessions, ideas which have long gained appeal even in the moderate establishment. I see. All right. Let me take a drink of water real quick. Been talking a lot. Austrian Empire announces support for Bulgaria. On the initiative of Serbia, representatives of several countries have convened in Belgrade to discuss the political and military situation in the Balkans. In these 14-day-long events, Serbs, Romanians, and Greeks plot to create a so-called new order in the Balkans, even going so far as to create a 14-point resolution which declared that only self-determined people, according to their ethnic allegiances, may be considered a just pass to sovereignty and territorial claim. Clearly, the Balkans are restless once again, and the resolutions of the Belgrade Congress will surely be used to justify a common war against Bulgaria and ultimately the Austrian Empire. The Austrians have called for an international arms embargo on the Balkan states to support Bulgaria, showing out our support. Only Bulgaria will keep the Balkans stable. Post and Scher, ironically, now that Schlechter has fallen, the very same patriots that once criticized democratic parties for selfishness and for putting party interest above people's interests are now swooping like vultures for the vacant state secretary post, ready to do whatever it takes to get the best for their own party. The new candidate for the Foreign Office was quickly found a not surprising choice. Ulrich von Hassel, chairman of the DVLP since 1929, and retired diplomat with experience in Italy, Spain, and the Commune of France. Charismatic, clever, and assertive. It'd be one of the first presidents in German history of an actual party politician taking over the Foreign Office leadership. Its effects on German foreign policy remain yet to be seen, but on European stage, Hassel and most of the party clearly favors the Russians over the syndicalist bloc. The future will show if such a policy is compatible with Germany's global interest. With the Foreign Office going to the DLVP, the State Secretariat for the Interior is bound to go to the more governmental DKP. Party Chairman Kuno von Westrop remains out of the question due to his affiliation with previous governments and will focus on his well-established power base in the chairmanship. The choice thus falls on a more obscure candidate, the East Prussian retired government official Wilhelm von Gaal, a man with career experience in the Bunderecht and old wartime occupation zones in Eastern Europe, and with ties to agrarian corporate circles. Gaal might be an inconspicuous man, but his great expertise and low ambitions ensure that he won't become a rival to party leadership. Westrop will potentially delivering good results for the DKP. The other state secretariat posts will remain contested for now. It's likely, though, that the DKP will continue to claim the agricultural secretariat, while the DVLP might be interested in gaining control over the economy. At least the competition is calm and pleasant for now. Gain base stability +5 and change of paternal autocracy +3. Let's reduce this again. We can arrest labor activities. We need to get rid of this about as quick as we can. Alright. So we got inflation crisis. doesn't help us really. Let's see. Let's draw the 2 cards. Alright, capital control gains us 3,000 stability. We did not get the card to switch these up, but I think if we choose all of these, we get enough. 1,000, 750. Oh, we need 50 more. We can add 1 more card. For +3, and it might not even be. I hate to do this. Maybe wait a second to see if we get anything else. Mustafa Kemal seized powers in the Ottoman Empire. Hugenberg demands the economic office. As expected, the DKP will keep a firm grip on the agricultural matters, with the longtime state secretary Marshal Schreier remaining in his position. Meanwhile, the DVLP has made its move on the economic office, and quite surprisingly for no one else than the infamous Alfred Hugenberg. Hugenberg is one of the most controversial German political figures, and not without reason. Few politicians can brag about being involved in the foundation of 2 of the most influential German far-right organizations, the Extra-Parliamentary Pan-German League in 1890, and the Fatherland Party, which is now the most powerful arm of the ultranationalists in the parliamentary politics in 1917. A few can claim to have gained control over one of the world's most powerful conglomerates of media outlets. Heavy industry works in Eastern settlement agencies over such a shortened time span. Hugenberg fingers are everywhere like an all-accompanied octopus, and yet the man with the iconic mustache has found himself increasingly isolated within his own party in the recent years. Although Hugenberg is still second chairman of the DVLP, his power base stems from his legacy of the 1920s, when he was considered the party's absolute economic expert under the ultra-right leadership of Wolfgang Kapp and George Wilhelm Scheel, and of course from his wealth. Under Hassel's new DVLP, however, which tries to present itself as a more moderate and less anti-Semitic and anti-Catholic, has long played the second fiddle. His candidacy could be seen as an attempt to assuage the simmering internal conflict between the National Revolutionaries and the reactionaries, and to tame Hugenberg's through his government spot. Still, Hugenberg is considered very decisive, and his difficult relations with the Kaiser further complicates the decision. Perhaps a moderate compromise candidate would be better. Ever since his defeat in the DVLP party election in 1921, Hugenberg has been biding his time. Few believe he's given up the ambition of dominating the right. Appointing him as secretariat would appease him for now, but is this the right decision? Or, ever since his defeat, he will immediately come to conflict. Hugenberg's been biding his time. If you believe he'll be given the ambition of dominating the right, if we cut him off, he'll immediately come to conflict with us. Is this really what we want? This will strengthen the standing of the DVLP. That's fine, but I don't really like him. I wonder if I get him as a political advisor. I do not. So, volunteer forces have returned home. Move you out.
Alright.
Take back the mountain divisions. To support the Bulgarians. The question of the Labor Office. Soon after his appointment as Economic Secretary, Alfred Hugenberg reached out to the government, offering Gustav Hartz as potential Secretary of Labor. Hartz is a member of the GVLP and the German National Union of Commercial Employees, a white-collar trade union with considerable influence across the right-wing political spectrum. He's much more famous or infamous for errors of German social policy, and his work in which he called for the abolish of the Bismarckian social insurance system and its replacement with a mandatory personal savings. According to Hartz, the welfare state is a fundamental flawed system which only employs slackers and takes advantage of diligent workers and business owners. A mandatory personal savings system, on the other hand, would force society to value wealth more and grow capitalist spirit among the working class. These views are in accord with Hugenberg himself, a major entrepreneur and a vitriolic opponent of socialism, trade unionism. Hartz is, in fact, a close ally of his. Secretary of Labor was intended to be a delegate to the VVLP in the first place, so there should be no issues with appointing Hartz as Secretary of Labor. However, this would grant Hugenberg further control over economic and social policy of the government. Is this truly what we want? Seems reasonable, or we shouldn't give Hugenberg any more power than necessary. Yeah, I don't want Hugenberg in charge, most definitely, so, no. It might make him mad, but, you know, the answer's still going to be no. Ooh, that's probably the worst thing we could see. Jack Reed elected president in the United States, so the syndicalists come out on top. And the American First Party does not have much of anything. Alright, well, we'll have to support them as well. We have almost no trucks. The Bulgarian rural dictatorship. Need some more military factories. First, Turkestan declared war on the Khanate and the Kingdom of Spain. Ooh, the war in Spain has kicked off. We'll have to promote that. And that did nothing for us. So we're going to lose this round again. The Spanish Civil War. Let's see. Is that 0? So let's end the emergency in the Rhineland. Peace in the Ruhr. The Ruhr general strike is over. Moderate revisionist factions, the uprising who sought material gains for their workers, have either been appeased or surrendered to the supreme force from Berlin, while radicals, which envisioned the rising as the foundation of a German revolution, have been scattered. For now, an uneasy peace has been set in the Ruhr. Conservative press have already proudly declared victory against the syndicalists and anarchist traitors who sought to overthrow the state and bring forth a reign of terror. Their liberal and social counterparts are more reserved. The journalists commenting that such incidents are likely to continue unless a comprehensive reform of the labor law and social security is passed. Though some agree, others, such as Hugenberg concern and other far-right activists, are only radicalizing their opposition to socialism by the events. We'll make the labor reforms in the future. Plus 10 stability. Let us... Oh, we need to gain some influence there. A minor defeat. Let's do the pro-Polish monarchy there. Let's see. How many can I send to you, good sir? I think probably 4, right? 4, yes. You should take probably you off. And we'll actually send this gentleman here. Gunther with air volunteers. We can send 2 wings. Accept that. And let's see. Let's get our first wing here. And let's actually get our tactical bombers down here. To Madrid. And then you 4 here can go under Erich von Manstein. And we'll send you to Bulgaria when that actually comes about. Oh, I clicked on the wrong one. I was like, why is Romania in charge of the Governmental? Alright, Totalist of the Bradia Commune. We got dispersed industry. You still got time for that. Let's see. Let's do maintenance companies for our panzer divisions. Now we have 2,000 rifles somehow. Inflationary weapons. Alright. Let's see. Come up here. National focus. Economic health is not good enough yet. Work reform. A copy of the card federal income tax will be added to the deck. Upon activating the card, debt score is reduced by 5 every turn. Yeah, I want that. It costs some to begin with. I think it costs 4 to begin with, but if I can bring it down, we'll be good. Poland, please make sure you win this. Our forces have arrived. Perfect. Against the syndicalists. It's just one click, and the Kummel had won, and the non-click falls into a civil war. A liberal victory in Brazil. So you guys. You got German instructors. German rifles. You haven't done any of this yet. I don't think you can even. I don't think you join the Kaiserreich, but they'll most definitely be allies of us. Should I say our German East Asian allies? Gonna pacify Indochina and Malaya. Oh yeah, there's some French units there. Middle Africa's coming to support you guys. Who else? Austria. I sent some troops. A militarist revolt in Paraguay. More coups. Puts you under Eugenio Nicolas Morango Martinez. I wonder if you guys are more friendly now. Who knows? Bulgarian requests support. Our ally in the Balkans during the Veltskrieg years. The Tsardom of Bulgaria has reached out to us with a diplomatic envoy concerned by the rearmaments of the rivals in the region. An Austrian in action against them, they request financial and military support to aid them in the likely war. During the interbellum period, the Bulgarians drift away from our sphere, citing lacking shared interests as well as their frustration with Bulgaria's treatment in the Veltskrieg, and that they return groveling to us should we spare some of our aids. We'll send 1,000 infantry equipment, and it gives them military support, which grants land direct and cross negative 10%, army experience plus 50. If we can actually get them to win, that'd be huge. I have played them before, and I think the only time I've ever seen them win is when I was playing them. And it was incredibly hard. There's the fall of Madrid. The Linguang clique declared war on the Linguang clique. I need more army experience gain. I think this opens up when the political direction of the empire opens up. Alright. And we can get rid of some of the ringleaders for some more stability. Alright, there's Serbia going to war. Let's see my planes. We'll do interception. Sweden petitions to join the Reichspakt. With heavy concern, Sweden has been watching as their Norwegian neighbor collapsed to cynicalism and started openly affiliating with the regimes in Paris and London. While the Sweden government values Sweden's tradition of neutrality, this is too great of a threat to ignore. Yeah, we'll accept that. I didn't know Norway fell to communism. They did. Alright, well, there you go. Now Bulgaria. I'll send you volunteers under Erich von Machstein. We'll send you air volunteers. And I'll actually probably send these fighter planes over. The Fourth Balkan War is what is with the Balkans in war all the time. They're just a war-happy people. And knocked out Thessalonica from the Greeks pretty quickly. If you can force Serbia to collapse, you win the war immediately. So maybe that's going to be my goal. Just the plains and the hills. We'll see what we can do. The Italian democracy survives against the ANI. You got Giovanni Granche. Man, that man looks spicy right there. Look at that hair. Whew. Yeah, we're still gonna probably support the two Sicilies. Even though I did read that in the new update, the Italian Republic can reform the monarchy. So I don't know. They probably have to go down a certain focus though, or a certain route. But all right, well, I'm gonna end episode 3 with that. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Be prepared. In episode 4, we will be fighting in not only the Spanish Civil War but the Fourth Balkan War. So hopefully that's gonna be pretty interesting. All right, I will see you all in the next episode. Bye.